high protein egg bites. And I knew when I started this recipe that I would have to have something, special, because if you Google egg bite recipe, you'll see, you'll get flooded with suggestions. And I've come up with high protein and a very simple recipe that's quick and easy using a pressure cooker, but you won't be able to tell it from the ones you get at that coffee shop. And mine will be the same serving they have is like 19. Mine's going to have around 20 and a half, 20.5 grams of protein. Well, and I got the numbers to back me up, and you can, fact check me and light me up if I'm wrong. Man, I could be. But we're going to use egg yolks, bacon bits that are already cooked, very good, nothing wrong with them, real bacon, already cooked, and all you do is add it in there, some cottage cheese, and some gruyere, and then you don't need a blender or anything, just a bowl and a blending fork, and straight in some muffin cups right there, and I promise you they will be just as good. And maybe some hot sauce. I may add that. That'd be the fifth ingredient, but really simple and really, really good, and I ain't got to tell you way cheaper. So let's start this. Okay, so my first step is to separate the egg yolk from the egg white. So I use this, but there's plenty of ways, and I'm sure you have your own way, but that does work pretty good. But I will say this, as many tests as I've done, I've found that all egg yolks are not the same. Some of them are smaller than others. Now, I'm looking for at least 200 grams of egg yolk, and that's because, and the reason I'm using the egg yolk is because it's higher in protein. It's actually 1.5 times higher in protein, roughly, than the egg white. And I've got a USDA website to back that up, and I'll add that at the end of the video and show you those numbers. But anyhow, I'm about to get that started, get these separated, and we'll move to the next step. All right, so total disclosure is one of the yolks fell through, and then I used 2 out of here. So that makes 13 egg yolks. And you can see I got a little bit of egg white, but that came to 201 grams. Well, for good measure, I'm going to go 1 more egg. So technically, this will be 14 egg yolks. But if you hadn't, made a comment on YouTube that you're going to have 10.47 grams of protein, you wouldn't have to go this far. Just use a dozen eggs. And then, if you run short, you just fill it up a little short. But I got a feeling, and that's another reason I'm going with 14 eggs. I don't want to run short. So anyhow, we're about to go to the next step. And strangely enough, 14 egg whites comes to right at 500 grams. Well, you can't see that. 500 grams of egg whites. Now, you can see that 1 yolk is in there. And other than that, it's 500 grams of egg whites. So there's recipes to be done with that, including egg bites. But anyhow. Okay, so I got the eggs, and I beat them up pretty good, but no blender needed, just that blending fork. And then here is where I'm going to get some of the protein, gruyere. It's really high in protein. And, well, you can see right here, 1 ounce is 8 grams of protein. 1 serving, in other words. 1 ounce is 8 grams of protein. Well, I graded off of that block over there 1.5 ounces, and that's it right there. So that makes that 12 grams of protein. Then I put a 1/2 cup of real crumbled bacon, and there's plenty of this on the market. I got this at Sam's Club, but I mean, there's plenty out there, and it's all good. I've never had any that wasn't. So a tablespoon of this bacon has 2 grams of protein. Well, a 1/2 cup is 8 tablespoons. So that makes that 16 grams. So you can kind of add this up as we go. So right there's my Gruyere cheese and my bacon. And we're about to put a 1/2 cup, and I'll use this other one because it's a little easier to read. A 1/2 cup of cottage cheese. And a 1/2 cup of cottage cheese has, I got to get where I can see it. Right there, a 1/2 cup has 13 grams of protein. So you can write all that down if you want to and kind of add that up. I hope you can see that. And then I'm going to show you what the 200 grams or so of egg yolks have. And and then we'll divide that by 7 because we're putting it in 7 cups. Now, I may have too much or too little, but we'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And there, all that goes in, the bacon and the gruyere right there. I'll stir that a little bit, and then this right here. Well, I don't want to use that with that bacon in there. I got to at least rinse that out right quick because knock that down. Well, actually, there's not much more than a half a cup left in here anyhow, and I can throw this away. So that's what I'll do. And I'm going to make sure I get a full half a cup, and that's pretty close. So I'm going to finish that all the way off and maybe even get the rest of it out of there. So all I got to do now is mix that up with that blending fork, and that is all that's needed. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't want to go any further than that with it. I wouldn't want to blend it. I think it gives it a better texture. But there is everything we're putting in here right now. Well, again, I may add a little hot sauce, but that's kind of optional, and you can do that at the table. So that would be my 5th ingredient, but you see it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and shake just a little bit in here, just so you'll see about what I do, which is that. Just a little bit, no big deal. And then give that a mix up just a little bit right there. And now I got to spray these cups with Pam, and I got to find that. Here it is. But I always use this in egg bites. I found it works better than some of the other stuff I use. So I'm going to hold this over the sink and not make a mess, and I'll be back. Okay, and I will mention, now I'll also say I haven't tried it, but I don't see why you couldn't put that in the refrigerator for in the morning, you know, if you wanted to wait till in the morning. But here's what our mixture's going to do. We're going to try and spread it out between these 7. But if, you know, I may have a little too much, or, well, we're about to see. I got to make sure my camera looks good. It does. My hand's in the way, but right there, right here. Now, as I said, if you use the whole egg, they really do rise out of here a good bit, but the egg yolks don't seem to do that. Now, they do rise, I'll say 1/4 of an inch, but nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about when you're doing it with the whole egg and it rises an inch. It comes up at least 3/4 of an inch, and it's not that big a deal because as soon as you open the lid, it starts falling. And I have a video of that I hopefully will put in there, but you can see I used every bit of that. That was a perfect for these 7 cups. And by the way, this came from Ninja, not affiliated in any way, shape, or fashion. I pay for everything you see here, and that's what that's called. It says it's for the OL601 and the OL701, but it'll fit any pressure cooker I know of, and any pressure cooker you can do this in. So I got to clean up some of this mess, and I'm going to get a cup of water now. We're going to get this started. Be back. All right, here it goes. The 1 cup of water. Right there. And this is kind of the beauty of it. I got to push some of them off of there a little bit. But it's a 5-5-5. Just kind of like when you're doing a boiled egg. You know, a lot of people do a 5-5-5, you know, unless you live at a higher atmosphere. And take my word, that does, or higher from sea level, I think around 5,000, you need to start worrying about it. But that does have an effect. If you live at high sea, you know, in Denver or something, maybe and you're having trouble getting things to work out, that could be why. Because you have to add some time. And anyhow, I got a video maybe I can add to that. But anyhow, we're gonna go with this recipe right here, right now. There they sit. All I'm gonna do, close this lid. We're gonna lock it to here. We're gonna put that to sealed, turn it on, and we're going to do high pressure for 5 minutes. And then, let's see, I'm going to take this to a delayed release, and then you have to press that on this particular device. But if you don't have this device that automatically releases, you just time it, of course. Going to press start. We're off and running. So I'll be back in a minute and show you what they look like. All right, we're coming up on the end of the pressure cook, and now this device goes into automatically delaying the release and will also automatically release that pressure. So okay, so while we're waiting on this to release, I wanted to say right quick what I meant a while ago about elevation. And I think I said altitude, but anyhow, I meant, you know, like elevation. If you live in a high elevation, everything cooks different. And if you're high enough, you already know this if you're way high. But anyhow, even pressure cookers. So what I use is this right here. It's called My Elevation, and I'm not sponsored by any. I'm just showing you. That's My Elevation, 1,221 feet. So that's what works with me on everything you see, because everything is affected by it. Now, there is this lady I found that really goes into detail, and if you live at higher elevation, you should look into her. Her name's Rose Red Homestead. Uh-oh, here we go with the delayed release, and it's fixing to drop it. That's pretty neat. But anyhow, we're also fixing to see what these look like. Rose Red Homestead. The lady impressed me. I binged her videos for a while. She's a professor, she's retired, and she does not know who I am. She doesn't have me from Adam, but she's got one on canning and pressure cookers, and that's where you'll see a lot of what she knows about that kind of stuff. So it says open the lid, the pin is down. I'm going to raise that, lock that right there open. Whoops, I guess I got to unlock it. And I did. And there you go. See how they're up maybe 1/4 of an inch, you can tell, but they'll kind of slide back down in there. Now, if these were whole eggs, they would be considerably higher than that. But there's what they look like. I love these yolk only. Not only the color, they're a little yellower, obviously, but they're just more flavor. And so does the wife, baby doll. She loves these, and that's what these will be. These will be for in the morning. I'm going to show you these again right quick before I even lift them out of there. You can see how they've already kind of recessed back in that cup. And we're going to set them out of there to get them off of that heat. Just like that. And then I'm going to set these out, and we're going to give them about 5 minutes. I may even dump them out of this silicone, because I don't want them to cook much longer. I don't want them to do a lot more cooking. See how hot that is. It's all right. So I'm going to flip them over. And yeah, that was a little hasty. But I'm also going to dry them off a little bit. I might even move them over to some of this. And then we're going to they are very hot. Don't get me wrong. We're going to get them dried, and I'm going to make some pictures and that stuff, and then we're going to eat one. So I'll be back. Hey, I like to forget, they've been out about 3 minutes, but right here's what we got. 175 or so right there, 175, 180. So they're done. they're really close to being perfect, if you ask me. So we're gonna let them cool just a minute longer, and we're gonna eat one. Okay, if you ask me, you just can't never have enough measurements. Let's see what 2 of mine weigh, which is what that coffee shop does. 129. I'm almost identical to their weight. So 129 grams, which they say their serving size is 130. And if I've done that math right, I'm 21 grams of protein. So I know it maybe don't mean anything to a lot of people, but it does around here recently. Everybody wants high protein. Well, let's see what one looks like if I just break it open instead of biting it. And there you go. And you see the cheese stretching out. And you can see the cottage cheese still in there. I got to back this camera up somehow. Let's go here. And then I ate 2 egg bites at that company, at that coffee shop this morning. Theirs are not any better than mine, in my opinion. So I'm going to start eating another one and trying to talk. I'll put in another video in a minute of, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's a video where I did these with a whole egg, and I was talking about how they rose up out of that muffin pan, but they still, when we went back down, they were still good. And I'm also going to add the video showing the protein levels and everything on egg whites and whole eggs. So maybe you can come up with something, maybe you don't want protein. Maybe these have a lot of fat in them. Maybe you want to lower the fat by using anyhow, what I'm getting at is all of it will be right here as far as the eggs. Everything else on the other labels I showed you. Okay, so I want to show you this right quick. Here is where I'm getting my numbers from. Food Data Central, which is a USDA, Department of Agricultural website right there, Food Data Central. This is the numbers for a whole grade A large egg. Right here's a protein, 12.4 grams for a whole egg. That's a yolk and the white. I'm assuming that they stir up and then they figure out the protein. And then the total lipid is what I'm using for my fat numbers. I'm assuming that's right. 9.96 grams. Now, take in mind or consider that is for a portion of 100 grams. And I think that's why some of the websites I have looked at haven't been accurate. And I think that's why they're not considering all these factors, which is how much of a egg substance you use and how you get the totals. Well, here is what they also say for, let's say, the egg white. We'll do it first. 100 grams again. There's the portion, 100 gram. And the egg white has 10.7 grams of protein and less than, if you notice it has that little less than symbol, of 0.08 of fat. Now man, that's low. And the protein's not bad at 10.7, but the one I like best and the one that I'm probably going to make the most of the time for myself, and I'm not even really big on protein, I just like the flavor of it and the way it looks better. But protein on an egg yolk, now 100 grams again, is 16.2 grams. That is quite a bit. And then the fat, though, is 28.8. So the fat goes out the roof. And but that protein does too. So, but you can see, you can trade off if you want to do egg whites, low fat, decent protein, there you go. And if you want high protein and don't care about the fat, egg yolk. And then, of course, if you want to split it down the middle, right there is the whole egg. But you'll see how they cook quite differently in the video, or maybe you already have. I'm not sure where I'm going to put this part in, but there you go. All right, I went to one of the shops the other day and I asked them to not cook mine, to let me take them home and I would cook them myself. So here they are, and this is the bacon gruyere, and this is the one with the whites, which I'm not doing anything. Well, I'll probably eat them, but I got to heat them up. So anyhow, here's how they word it, and this is a little bit confusing to me. They say one piece, 130 grams, and that is a serving, which comes to 19 grams of protein. But they do say one piece. Now, the 130 grams right there. Here you go. There is two of them. That is 135, and I'm assuming that plastic wrap is the other 5 grams. And you saw mine were 129, and I'm going to do the math here in a minute to show you exactly what mine came to. But I guess they refer to this as one piece. I mean, you can decide that on your own, but it looks to me that's what it is. One piece, 130 grams, 19 grams of protein. I'm done. I'll be back with my math in just a minute. Okay, so all things considered, and like I said, go back and check me on this. But here is what my high protein egg bite recipe has. And there is all of the above and everything I've learned from all the stuff that I did, the protein levels and the amounts or the portions of each thing. And mine come to 10.8 grams per cup, which, or let me put it like this, two of mine come, well, right here it is. Two of mine come to 21.6, or 130 grams of mine come to 21.6 grams of protein, which is what, they say is 130 grams of theirs is 19. So close enough. Now, I'm sure their measurements are probably more accurate and better than mine, but there it is. Double check, check me on that, whatever you want to. But I think not only are they really, really good, and they are, y'all. They're not. People say rubbery and stuff. Not to me. Not to me. They're not. The ones I made were absolutely excellent. But I'm going to tell you something, these are excellent too. And I eat them there quite often. Now, I might not for a while because I have ate more this week than I've ever ate. It might be a minute before I go back to eating egg bites, and especially going in somewhere to order them. But anyhow, hey, I appreciate y'all watching, and I love this place. I do. I drink their coffees, and I go in quite often, and it's a great place, and this is a great recipe. I love y'all. Come back to see me. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye. There it is, and there they are. Now, as I said, they are souffled up, but look at them fall right now. As soon as that cold air hits them, they start falling back in those cups. So don't let that spook you. And they're going to go down in those cups a good bit more. So it's neat to watch, kind of. But man, they are really neat to eat. So we're gonna let those rest a few minutes and see how they are. I'm gonna go ahead, see how hot that is. It's a little warm. I'm gonna take them out of here to get them off of that heat completely. And I'll be back in a minute. All right, right there they are. And you can see, I mean, they look excellent because they are, and they're just as good as they look. I'm going to take a bite out of this one. And excellent. That's the only words I got. Okay, I thought I'd say this right quick before I forgot. That muffin mold was $19.95. A Smartlid XL. Oh yeah, I was able to get another thermometer. If you remember, or if you've watched my channel, I messed up my thermometer by letting it touch the element. Or it didn't mess it up, it still works, but it kind of burnt that sheathing. So I wanted a spare one. It was only $19.95. I got a non-stick silicone baking mat. This is it. It goes down in here and whoops. And acts as a baking mat, but I'm going to use it for setting it down in the bottom of the pan for air frying over, where it's easier, a little bit easier to clean. I got the one, I'm going backwards, but the one lid replacement ring set, this right here. All this was in stock, and I've had trouble getting it before, but it was only $9.95. And I'm sorry, I may have said that wrong. That baking mat was only $9.95. It's kind of hard to see this. But it was only $9.95, and so was the one lid replacement ring set, $9.95. Now I bought a cookbook, something beginners. But anyhow, I thought I'd buy it. It was available, and I bought it. It was $19.95. But anyhow, the main thing is this. It was $19.95, and that right there, no flavor, no taste, no silicone taste at all. And I'm going to use it for muffins too. And this might be neat. Like I said, it'll help keep the bottom of the pan clean when you're air frying. But now you know.